Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, ciao, bonjour, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hey, my name is Jadley. Welcome to Reading with Your Kids. We're coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville, located in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so very honored and absolutely delighted that you're joining us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. We do that by sharing fun, thoughtful, and thought-provoking conversations with fascinating people who just happen to be writing books for kids of all ages. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show and let them know that they can hear us on the WREB AM/FM 24/7 radio network, and they can find us on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Podcast Addict, Amazon Music, CastBox, Audible, Player FM, Boomplay, Ghana, wherever you find your favorite shows. We have two fantastic guests coming to you today. Jody Meltzer will be here first. She is celebrating Your Face Lights Up the World It Is, a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. And later in the show, we'll be meeting Nick Altamirano. He is here to celebrate the Crocodile Choir. Hey, my friends, we are really excited. Reading with Your Kids podcast is returning to the Chicago Toy and Game Fair November 9th and 10th at the Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. Let your imagination come to life at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair, the ultimate family play experience. Dive into hands-on fun with the hottest new toys and games, meet the inventors behind your favorite products, and even get a sneak peek at what will top holiday wish lists this year. From interactive play zones to exciting competitions and exclusive giveaways, there's something for every member of the family at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair. And don't miss the Young Inventor Challenge, where kids showcase their creativity and innovation. Who knows? You just might meet the next big inventor. Join us at the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois, November 9th and 10th. Whether you're a game enthusiast or just looking for a fun weekend with the family, the Chicago Toy and Game Fair has it all. And like I said, the Reading with Your Kids podcast will be there, and you may have a chance to be heard on the show. Get your tickets today and bring the magic of play to life. Visit shytag.com for details, and be sure to use the discount code READ, R-E-A-D, at checkout to save on tickets. Hey, are you ready to ignite a passion for reading in your students? Introducing bookandauthor.com, your gateway to literacy connections. With bookandauthor.com, connecting your school with talented authors of captivating kids' books has never been easier. Simply visit our user-friendly website and explore our extensive database of authors. Filter your search based on budget, genre, and availability. Discover the perfect match for your school and your students. But that's not all. With bookandauthor.com, you have the power to request a proposal. Let vetted authors come to you with their tailored ideas, ensuring an unforgettable literacy experience for your students. Don't wait any longer to inspire young minds through the magic of books. Visit bookandauthor.com today and open the door to a world of literacy connections. Bookandauthor.com, where literacy comes to life. Join us right now from the great state of Florida, where she is keeping her fingers crossed the latest tropical storm does not come too close to her home. She's here to celebrate a brand new book. It's called Your Face Lights Up the World. It is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Please welcome back Jody Meltzer. Hey, Jody, how are you?
Doing well. Definitely a little on edge, but we're doing okay over here.
Oh, that's good. Boy, Jody and I were speaking a little bit before we started recording. She spent a lot of time up here in New England, and she was telling me she's much more comfortable with the blizzards, with 25 inches of snow than she is with the hurricanes.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely more comfortable with blizzards. I grew up in New England, but now we have the hurricanes, and who knows if a tree is going to fall on your house or the roof's going to blow off. I do think we're going to be relatively unscathed. We're going to get a lot of rain, and obviously there's a lot of hype surrounding it, and the kids are off from school for a couple of days, but I remain hopeful. And I do have a whole house generator, so pretty excited about that.
So tell us about Your Face Lights Up the World. Our Certified Great Read panel loved this book.
Oh, thank you so much. So I sat down to write this book, and it was a complete brainstorm. I did not have a writer's outline. I did not adhere to any parameters at all. I let my imagination take me where it wanted to go. And that is a differentiator from my previous titles, which were rooted in really grief. My first one, When You Lived in My Belly, was to honor my mom's wish to write her first children's book. She never got to realize that before she passed away. So I did that. And it was in response to my son's question, Mom, what was it like when I lived in your belly? And my second one, Goodnight Star, Whoever You Are, was after my son's father and 3 grandparents died in quick succession. And that was an answer to him in terms of helping him through the process of grief and to understand the profound loss, and that connection is everlasting. So my first 2 titles, I really sat down with an outline, an idea, a purpose. And this one was so liberating because I just am simply storytelling, and I absolutely love to do that. So this was intrinsically the story I wanted to tell, and it is centered around self-esteem and self-acceptance. And it is inspired by, I think, a lot of the kids in the neighborhood, and of course, my son as well. There are 2 fraternal twins, Harper and Hunter, and they start out the book, they get into an argument with their mom, which is common for siblings, and they band together and decide to go outside, and they're going to create a fort that adults cannot get into. It's going to be tall enough to keep them out. During that process of finding sticks and stones to stack, they are, alternatively bonding and squabbling, much like siblings do. And at one point, Hunter makes a comment about Harper's freckles, which is something he knows that she is deeply insecure about. And that really sets the whole tone of the book and her journey to self-discovery and viewing herself in a different way, and perhaps discovering that her twin may be a little envious of those freckles and what he sees in the pigmentation. There's such delightful visuals that he sees in her pigmentation. So that's really where it went. And it was a story I frankly needed to read when I was growing up.
That sounds so cool. And I think it's really needed because we hear so much about kids and in some cases, really young kids struggling with anxiety and other issues.
Kids really shy away from being different, and it takes a long time. I mean, I'm 51 years old and still working on complete self-acceptance and not looking at myself in a critical manner. I mean, this is an evolution and a work in progress, but I've made significant strides. But I remember as a young kid, through this journey of storytelling, and I call it really creative chaos that I went through, it was a journey of self-discovery. I really unearthed a lot of feelings that I had about, in retrospect, is a terrific spray of freckles that I would get during the summer for several months. And alternatively, I would look at them, I would like them and be intrigued by them. And then I would be jealous of a girl in my class with porcelain skin and another one who had a face full of freckles, and she was beautiful. And I'm like, well, why am I in between here? And why do they only appear a few months of the year? So sometimes I would try to scrub them off. Sometimes I would try to play them off. But I remember having real solid feelings about freckles. But freckles can be anything, that you feel makes you different or stand out, you may be a little insecure about. And sometimes you need to reframe the way you look at yourself in the mirror and also truly see how others view you. I don't want to give away the book, but Hunter really saw such incredible things in her pigmentation. And, some of them are, he was trying to count her freckles because he thought he was equating it with 227 fireworks, that she sees on the face. And maybe I see the first letter of your name in the freckles, and he didn't have any. So perhaps he was going toward or going after those freckles because he was a little envious of them. And that's also common in kids. Mm-hmm. Explores jealousy, sibling rivalry, and a real true path to self-discovery and self-acceptance, which I think is greatly needed. There are a boy and a girl in this book, but the protagonist is a girl, and she really needs to view herself in a new light. And I do think that is the case with a lot of young girls. Sadly, there's a lot of pressure due to social media, unrealistic expectations and filters and the like. And kids are flocking to makeup stores and demanding skincare for hundreds of dollars at age 8 or 10 years old. And I'm really trying here with this book to show them that they really have true beauty when they look in the mirror, and they should embrace whatever their preconceived notions or flaws are. They should embrace them and learn to love themselves.
Absolutely. I as you're mentioning and mentioning social media, I'm thinking, what a great time, what a great tool to start talking to our kids about social media when they're really young and they're reading Your Face Lights Up the World with you young kids. Also just talking to them about, there's this thing and people are on TV and they're on our screens and they look so beautiful, but that's not really them. And you don't have to compare yourself to them.
Yes, absolutely. And, I joke, sometimes people make fun of me to a degree because, you post pictures on social media and they're great pictures. Like, oh, you're so photogenic. Thank you very much, but I don't post bad pictures. And frankly, most people do not post them. Some do, and I applaud them for that. These real authentic moments where they're not posing or whatever. But I will fully admit, I'm not posting the bad pictures. They're my deleted files. But I want people to understand, especially young kids, and we all struggle. It's a universal, timeless issue. We all struggle with feelings about ourselves and self-acceptance and comparing ourselves to others, good, bad, or indifferent. We all do it, especially growing up, coming of age. And I really want to encourage people to, especially young kids, to see themselves in the best light possible, to be forgiving of themselves, and to learn to love what makes them unique. Because in life, those are the key differentiators that make you stand out. Sometimes when you're younger, you may not like that, you wear glasses or you have freckles or your ears may protrude a little bit. But whatever the preconceived, notion or the flaw is, you will learn to love and accept yourself and see the beauty in that. And most likely it's something that really isn't there and people don't see.
Yeah. Why do you think, obviously both girls and guys have this issue. But it seems as if this affects girls on a larger basis than guys. Why do you think that might be?
I do think that there have been impossible standards of beauty throughout time. And this is something that we inherit generation to generation. Certainly women have the ability to change themselves more readily, I would say, than men do in terms of, makeup and hair color. And that doesn't mean that, men don't do those things as well. But stereotypically, if we're going to go there, they are accustomed to, you're not great tucking and rolling out of bed exactly as you are when you get into a teenage years. It's, maybe it's time to put a little blush on or a little lipstick. And let's look at your hair. Perhaps you can curl it, or you might grow it a little bit longer, or grow bangs, or whatever you'd like to do, cut bangs. It's just, there's always that subtle or real pressure on women to alter the way they look to fit that stereotypical vision of beauty. I think we've come a long way, certainly from when I was a kid. We definitely see beauty in all shapes and sizes, as we should, in all skin tones, but we still have a long way to go. And like I said to you earlier, I will readily admit I'm a work in progress. There are days that I look in the mirror and I'm not self-accepting that day, or I would change something if I could, but I am working on that. And I'm speaking to kids like myself who needed to read a book like this. And certainly even adults who, like me, who sometimes struggle with it, and they're raising young girls and boys and helping them have those important conversations, because they truly are so important for kids who are coming of age and forming those opinions about themselves, which will follow them through life. You know, a lot of this is rooted in childhood, and your self-esteem, self-worth, and your perceptions are all rooted in the messaging and the reinforcements you receive, and everything from childhood on. And if we can do something to fortify them from a young age, that's what I'm setting out to do.
Well, I'm really excited that you're doing it. I think this book also would be, as you mentioned earlier, all the different dynamics between siblings. I think this would be a great book to talk to our kids about those things. And hey, do you ever feel this way about your siblings, or does your brother ever make you feel this way or that way?
Absolutely. It's funny. I really looked at this, because I was trying to figure out where is this coming from? And of course, we did that journey of self-discovery. But then I have identical twin boys who live next door to me. And I have a precocious, insatiably curious little girl who lives a few doors down. And then another one actually named Harper with a beautiful spray of freckles a few doors down. And this is really the culmination of all of us. That's what I'm looking at it. This is universal truth, universal issues we all struggle with. And same thing with sibling rivalry too. I mean, it's different obviously with twins. You're the same exact age, whether fraternal or identical. I mean, that's a different energy than myself and my brother. But a lot of the issues that I had with my brother are threaded in that book too. I distinctly remember going outside and building a fort with my brother to keep my mom out because we were annoyed with her. And, at times, of course, we would have disagreements, and we weren't always on the up and up with each other. And like just having those conversations with siblings and how to treat each other always with love, and don't go for the jugular. That is something that I have always taught my kids is, the more you get to know someone, the more you love someone, they will expose their vulnerabilities to you. And it's up to you to keep them safe and not use them against them if you have a disagreement. And a thought may pop into your mind, well, I'm going to say something about her freckles because I know that she's deeply insecure about them. My vantage point, and this is in my own relationships too, if I know something about somebody that really will make them replay that conversation at night in their mind, if I say something about a particular subject that they're sensitive about, I would never do that, because at the heart of it, I want resolution, I want communication, and I want to be loving regardless if I'm having a disagreement. So that's another conversation that I think with siblings is really important to have.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. You were mentioning that this was the first time you were able to sit down and just pull an idea out of the air. I think you shared with us the last few times that you've been on the show that you were in a news anchor.
Yes.
In the news business. So you were writing, you can't do any imagination there. You had to stick to the facts and just the facts, lady. How did it feel just going out there and grabbing that idea from the ether and putting it down on paper?
Oh, it was fantastic. I'm absolutely going to approach writing when I can through this lens moving forward, because it was just so liberating to just go where my mind wanted to go. And it really did unearth so many things I had, buried, not because they were traumatic or anything, but it's just something I don't really think about. And if I approach writing, which I often do, with an outline and I'm adhering to standards, or reporting the news, and alternatively, I write for many publications, in the first person where I'm, telling stories from my life. They're all, they're framed, and writing in this way where I'm just simply storytelling and going where my mind wants to go is an incredible feeling. And I absolutely will approach it that way again when I can.
Yeah. Now, did you sit down and say, I want to do something different and I want to come up with an original idea that's just fun? Or did this idea just pop into your head?
I really just sat down and I said, go where your mind takes you and tell a story. And this is where it went. I did not have any thoughts or feelings before I sat down, like I said, which is very unusual because I typically have many. And that's why this was such creative chaos and a journey of self-discovery that is unparalleled in my life. So I do think that moving forward, when I can, I'm going to approach writing that way. And even sometimes when I do have framework, if I can deviate and give myself some of that freedom to go beyond the outline, I think it will really help me moving forward. It was just such a great process as a writer.
Awesome. What kind of advice would you give to an aspiring writer? We have interns here at the podcast from Emerson College, and some of them are aspiring journalists, and some of them are aspiring editors and authors themselves. What kind of advice would you give to a college writer and even a young writer?
My advice would be to write. And I know that sounds simple, but a lot of times writers think a lot and they don't always get it down on paper or start writing in the keyboard. And you have to write and then rewrite and rewrite and rewrite. And you also have to believe in yourself, because you are going to have a lot of naysayers telling you that you can't do something. I mean, certainly when I started out in news, that was absolutely the feedback that I received, from some people in my life, and also people who rejected me. Rejection is a part of the writing process. It only makes you better if you actually look at it in a constructive way. And I'm not saying that destructive editors or people who are just dismissive of your budding talents, deserve space in your head rent free, but you do have to take it all in, because it really does make you a better writer. Even like a year and a half ago, I think I took a class on writing a screenplay. Oh. And my son said, Mom, why are you on Zoom for 3 hours for this screenplay class? You obviously know how to write. You've been published through many publications. You've been on the news and everything. I'm like, I'm a work in progress, and I don't know how to write this particular style of writing, and I want to learn and push myself. So my advice also is to just go outside of your comfort zone, and you'll find a lot of genuinely fabulous, incredible nuggets of wisdom outside of your comfort zone, as indicated by our whole entire discussion tonight, which was me going out of my comfort zone and delivering this book, which really has received some fantastic reviews and awards pre-publication. I'm really excited to get it in the hands of young readers. But it was through that process, many decades later, I've been writing forever, that I'm still learning about myself and my writing style. So continue to push yourself outside your boundaries, and don't take no for an answer in terms of discouraging you from realizing your dreams.
Easier said than done for some people. You
It
have to have a
really
lot of
is.
resilience.
You really have to believe in yourself and have that real deep power of resolve and be able to handle rejection. Rejection is a part of life. It is certainly a part of being a writer. I mean, I'm an author and a writer. And like I said, I was a news personality. I've been rejected multiple times. And I'm sure if I continue to push the envelope, which I plan on doing, I have many rejections in the future. You do have to develop a tough skin. I did do that in the news.
Mm-hmm.
People would call and say, what's going on with your anchor today? She's having a bad day. You have to let things roll off. You will have a bad day. You will write something that in a few years, you'll look at it and say, wow, I've really blossomed as a writer. I would not publish that again. But you have to give yourself space to learn and grow and achieve. And you need to, be steadfast in your commitment to yourself and aspiring to, exceed your goals or at least meet them.
Yeah, I love it. And I think a book like Your Face Lights Up the World is a great way to start helping our kids develop that resilience and that self-esteem that they're going to need to make it in the world.
Absolutely. There's actually an activity at the end of the book where people can work with, they can write the answers themselves, what makes, how does your face light up the world? And you can work with a caregiver or a parent as well. There's several different questions to ask, like your top 10 ways that your face lights up the world. So you have to compliment yourself. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, wow, I have beautiful eyes, or my smile really does light up a room. Whatever it is that makes you unique, you need to look at yourself and embrace it. And even some of those things that you may not be over the moon about, just accept them as part of what makes you you. And that is the most beautiful thing you can be, because no one else is like you in the world. We all are unique.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that thing that you shared with your son, that you're still a work in progress. You've had all the success, but you're still a work in progress. You're still learning. You're still doing new things, going outside your comfort zone. Again, it's a great model for your kids.
I try. I'm perfectly imperfect. I'm not perfect every day, believe me. And he will attest to that more than anybody. But I do show him that through words and through action, that I will continually strive until my last breath to make myself better than yesterday and to achieve dreams that I've set out for myself and to be a good, kind human being on this earth and try to make other people feel good about themselves. That is definitely something that I hold dear, and I'm trying to instill in him as well.
Yeah. Before I ask you where we can go to find out more about you and your book, I'm curious. You mentioned things go wrong in the TV newsroom and on camera, and I'm wondering if there was any crazy, funny moment from your news career that you could share with us.
There are so many. I mean, I've had IFBs pop out of my ear on air. I've absolutely been out in the blizzards where I was in the middle of the road. No one else was out there. Whatever you do, folks, don't come out here. And I'm just walking through. But, what really comes to mind is a day that I simply did a terrible job. I really did. I went to a courthouse to cover a breaking news situation. And it was, an all day affair. It was a ton of information, very high stakes. And all of my competitors were covering the same thing. And I was going to be live at the news desk, top of the newscast. So it was an absolute opportunity for me to shine. But I did not have time to process all the information and really write the script to my liking. And I got rattled. I did not give my best performance. And when I walked off the set, it was clear that everybody recognized I didn't give my best performance. And we had someone call in and say, is there something wrong with her? Like, what happened? Because I was nervous. I mean, when you're not confident in what you're delivering, the nerves get ahead of you. And even though I had been on air for, probably at that point, at least a year, I just couldn't get sentences out. It was terrible. But, these things happen. And I got out the next day and I did it again. And that's what you have to do. We are all going to fall. We're all going to make mistakes. We all have things that make us insecure at times. Freckles or could be anything, like I said. We just have to learn to be endlessly forgiving of ourselves and to learn to love ourselves and even those mistakes and know that they all inform the person you're becoming. And we're all that work in progress.
Amen. Please tell everybody where they can go to find out more about you and find out more about Your Face Lights Up the World.
So you can visit JodiMeltzer.com for all things Jodi Meltzer, hence the name. And my book is available wherever books are sold online. So Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, anywhere you can search, you will find Your Face Lights Up the World, along with my other titles, When You Lived in My Belly and Goodnight Star, whoever you are.
Awesome. And you can also go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, to read our team's full review. As I mentioned before, Your Face Lights Up the World is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Our guest tonight has been Jodi Meltzer. Jodi, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you. It was so great to see you again.
Before we invite our guest into the studio, I would love to invite you to visit a very special website. It's clownswithoutborders.org. Clownswithoutborders.org. This is a group that I absolutely adore. I am part of Clowns Without Borders, and I had the honor of being part of the 2023 tour of El Salvador. I had so much fun joining with artists from all over the world to bring a smile to people who really needed it and really appreciated it too. And we would love for you to join us as a monthly Joy Maker. The Joy Makers, they're a family of people just like you who love to laugh and make other people feel good. So please take a moment and visit clownswithoutborders.org and consider joining me as a Joy Maker. Hey there, families! Are you looking for an exciting way to bond and learn together? Look no further than our STEM is Family Fun video series. Join us as we explore the fascinating world of STEM through hands-on activities right in your own home. Our series features lessons from experts at renowned institutions like the San Diego Children's Discovery Museum, the National Children's Museum in Washington, D.C., and Children's Museum Houston. From making homemade rainbow bridges to creating an oboe out of a straw, there's something for everyone in the family to enjoy. So grab your lab coats and get ready for an adventure. Go to readingwithyourkids.com and click on the STEM is Family Fun link at the top of the page and let the learning and laughter begin. STEM is Family Fun, where learning and bonding go hand in hand. Join us right now from right outside of Toronto in Ontario, Canada. Our guest is here today to celebrate his new children's book. It's called The Crocodile Choir. Please welcome to the show, Nico Altamirano. Nico, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jed. Thanks for having me.
Delighted to have you on. Tell us all about The Crocodile Choir.
So it's my first children's book that I've ever written. Hopefully the first of many. And it's about the story of Cody, the crocodile. He goes on this journey to try to, find himself and pursue his passion, which is to sing. That's kind of peculiar for a crocodile. And none of his friends like to sing. And it's kind of an accepted fact that, crocodiles don't really sing. So then, he doesn't want to accept that. He goes on this journey. He travels down the Nile in Africa, trying to find friends that'll sing with him. He encounters a few friends. A lot of them kind of tell him he's met with that same skepticism, like, oh, crocodiles don't sing. And he's on the verge of giving up when, one of the friends he met along the way kind of, helps him find his voice and it encourages him to, express who he truly is. And yeah, I think it's kind of like this nice, sweet little story about like self-expression and following your dreams and being true to yourself. And hopefully I can inspire my readers, young and old, to, be themselves, pursue their dreams, find their voice and let it be heard, basically.
I'm curious, did you, as you were growing up and even now, have you had people tell you, "Oh, Nico, those dreams, they're crazy. Why don't you be more realistic? Get something to fall back on when those things fall apart."
Yeah, for sure. I've always been kind of like a creative person. Growing up, I've always loved to tell stories, and I'm Filipino, being Filipino Canadian, I'm kind of like from that, Asian type of family where basically, we want to grow up to be like a lawyer or a doctor, kind of like an engineer, things like that, pursuing the sciences. And, just kind of expectations, I guess, from not just family, from friends and, the people around in my life. There was definitely a little bit of that pressure. And I kind of wanted to just like distill those feelings, not just for my own experiences, but for anyone else that has kind of gone through something similar of, kind of being not really pegged, but, kind of labeled almost, to follow, like do a particular thing. And basically, yeah, just wanting to like give people the courage to be able to, do what they want.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who announced to his family and friends 35 or so years ago that I was going to make a living as a professional clown and magician, I can certainly relate to that. There was nobody in my family who had made a living in the arts, and certainly not as a clown. And so I heard a lot of, we'll do that on the weekends, or, but you need to get a steady job. You need to get a job with a great retirement plan. And, that just never appealed to me. I wanted to create, I wanted to perform and bring smiles to kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure you've probably had a lot of unforgettable experiences pursuing that dream of yours. So, yeah, kind of something similar with the Crocodile Choir for sure.
Absolutely. You are absolutely right. There have been things that have happened to me on stage over the years that are that defy explanation. It's just, and very oftentimes people say, "Well, how did that happen?" I'm like, "I don't know. Just happy I was here for it."
Yeah, the magic of following your dreams.
Yeah. So your dream has been to be a children's author, or were there other things involved in that dream?
Yeah, I mean, I guess not necessarily a children's author, just an author of any kind. Growing up, I read a lot of like fantasy books. I kind of grew up on things like Percy Jackson, Artemis Fowl, those kinds of stories. And actually, children's books is something I kind of stumbled upon. I kind of just had this idea for like a cute little crocodile that I wanted to sing, and I'm not much of an artist myself. So I kind of tabled my ideas of being a children's book author because I wanted to have like the nice illustrations as well. And yeah, I kind of just chatted with a friend. She's an artist. Luckily, I was able to collaborate with her, and she helped kind of bring the images in my head onto paper. And yeah, it's been super fulfilling writing children's books. It's really cool being able to like collaborate with an artist and try to like condense a story that might have kind of like complex themes and try to make it like as simple and enjoyable as possible for like the young loved ones in our lives to, help encourage and inspire them.
Yeah. As somebody who's creative, and I'm sure you've experienced a lot of joy bringing your ideas to life, was it difficult to collaborate and allow somebody else to kind of take your story and your words and turn them into illustrations?
No, I wouldn't say it was difficult. A lot of people believe that writing is a very solitary art form, and I mean, a majority of the time it is. But in terms of like, I guess an illustration book, especially if you're not an illustrator yourself, there is like a level of collaboration that's needed there. I'm also used to working in a collaborative environment. Like I went to school for film. Used to being on like large sets and having lots of people work towards one vision. So I guess kind of like pulling some experiences from that, it's really fulfilling to be able to come to the table with an idea and take everyone else's like skills and expertise and their unique viewpoints and to kind of like create something special that you wouldn't have been able to make on your own.
Very cool. Why did you pick the crocodile?
Yeah, I don't know. It was kind of, I just had the name Cody popped up into my mind randomly.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, I guess the crocodile also starts with C. So Cody the crocodile, kind of hit me in a flash of inspiration, I guess. And I kind of just ran with it from there.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think there are many crocodiles roaming the streets of the mean streets of Toronto.
No, not too many. Maybe on a rare night you might see one creeping around somewhere.
So what are your plans for the future? Are you looking to make Cody a series, or are you looking to branch out and to write in other genres of kidlit?
I definitely want to write more children's books. I'm working on the next one already. And it's centered around Becky, which is the little bird in Cody in the Crocodile Choir, and she's the one that helps Cody find his voice and kind of gives him the courage and the inspiration to sing and to be himself. So she's getting her own children's book. It's before she meets Cody, and she's trying to learn how to fly. And that's kind of the plan for that one. We're working on it right now, but beyond that, I definitely do want to kind of make give it a go. Try to become a children's picture book author. I think it's a really fun medium, and trying to reach as many readers as I can to, help inspire them, give them courage, and to not only inspire the kids, but also like the families and the parents as well, to kind of just like provide a positive message of like encouragement and being able to like talk openly about your dreams and things with your loved ones.
Well, I was going to ask you about this. Obviously, one of the conversations we can have with our kids as we're reading the Crocodile Choir is that idea of following your dreams, and your dreams have value. And I'm thinking that might be a difficult conversation for, as you said, Filipino Canadian parents who want their kids to be doctors and engineers. And also for my blue collar parents many years ago, who are looking at the world in a different way. What encouragement would you give to those parents who are struggling with that idea and wanting kids to have a backup plan?
Yeah. Well, the idea of having a backup plan is fair. It is very smart to be practical in that way. Though, I mean, nowadays, I'd say to like try to keep an open mind, because especially with like the internet age and like the new generation of like how our world is so connected now, there's like opportunities everywhere that you never would have guessed. And like kids these days, especially with how literate they are, like growing up with technology and like the information age that we live in, they have infinite resources to pursue their dreams. And a lot of the time, it really is kind of just like the simple nod of encouragement, or yeah, just being able to show your kid that you support what they really are like trying to explore themselves. And even if they decide to change their minds later, they decide it's not quite for them, as they're still growing up and learning, trying to find what their dream is. I think just having that support system there would mean the world to them. I know it meant the world to me, with my family growing up. So, yeah, I think it would be really special for the kids, and to be able to see your young one kind of like evolve into their own person and really pursue what they love doing.
Yeah. Yeah. You make a good point. You know, when kids are young, they're going to have and probably, change their dreams, a couple of dozen or a couple of hundred times before they get into high school and college. And one of the things that we know from science is that kids who dream are happier and they are more successful in school. They achieve more. So, and when I read that study, I was really kind of surprised that people even bothered with that study, because it's like, what kid doesn't dream? Well, every kid dreams. And, being, somebody who is performing for kids every day, 500-600 kids at a time, I decided to do a little experiment. And I would go into a school, and it was for about 2 weeks, I think, a week or two. And I would just ask kids, hey, how many kids have a dream they want to grow up and be this or that? Just raise your hand. And I was really surprised that never more than 40 or 50% of the kids raised their hand. So not every kid is dreaming out there. So I agree with you. We need to encourage our kids' dreams and support them.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure like those kids that didn't raise their hands, they probably had something come up in their mind, right? But they were probably like a little too shy or a little too scared to like admit it openly. And that's who I really think I'm trying to reach with the Crocodile Choir. Those kids that, you know, have something in mind, or like even like they just have like an inkling of an idea. And they're just a little nervous, or they're a little scared. And they just need that tiny nudge of encouragement to kind of get them to start moving in that direction. And I think just having like the freedom to explore and to find, like, just have fun with basically, what they want to, what they're curious about. I think that would be great for them.
You know, I'm looking on your website, and I'm seeing some of the artwork, and it just looks like a fun book. And I was imagining, you know, when my kids, who are now adults, when they were young, we would have a lot of fun with books, either the second or third or 100th time that we read a book, or even the first time. We'd oftentimes stop and start talking about what we had just read. And I think it would be a lot of fun to kind of imagine with your kids what Cody would sound like if he decided to sing.
Yeah. In my head, he has like a very kind of, I'm not a super musically, I don't have too much knowledge of like the classical musical terms, but I imagine he has a very like pleasant voice. I'm not much of a singer myself, so I can't quite give you a demo.
Have you had any experiences with crocodiles or alligators?
Not up close, not in person. Okay. I have seen some like at the zoo and things like that, but, I also have some family that lives down in Florida. And there's a bunch of gators over there. So sometimes they tell me stories.
My beautiful wife, daughter, and my daughter's fiance were down in Costa Rica, and we were visiting a sloth sanctuary. And it was really cool. And part of the experience included going out on a little canoe with a guide, and taking a little float up this river that led out to the ocean, and we could see some of the rescued sloth return to the wild. And as we were going out, and the guide was pointing out the different animals and different birds we were seeing, he said, and there's a caiman, which is a crocodile cousin. And my wife said, where? And the guide gave the caiman a little nudge with its oar. And the caiman didn't like it and kind of splashed around and knocked into the boat. And my wife was very upset.
Oh my gosh, it went in the boat?
It didn't go in the boat. No, it banged into the boat and
gotcha.
alongside it. And the guy thought it was very funny, my wife's reaction, but
Oh yeah, that's definitely a little bit more than you signed up for when you're going on that boat ride.
Absolutely. Hey, you know, Nico, we should probably tell people where they can go to find out more about the Crocodile Choir and find out more about you and your dreams.
Yeah, I have a website, www.maumauhouse.com. There you can find a little bit more about me and us, and I guess this little publishing company that I'm trying to build for my children's books. The Crocodile Choir itself, you can find on Amazon. It's also up on Kindle Unlimited. I'm part of the KU program, so yeah, those are the two main places you can find me. I'm also on Instagram by my house, if anyone is so inclined. But yeah, that's all my links.
I have to ask, Mama House, that brand, where did that name come from?
Yeah, it's Mau Mau is, I guess it's kind of like a sound effect that a cat makes when they meow, like Mau Mau.
Okay.
And I don't know, it's kind of just like a fun little play. I have a pet cat. Her name is Yui, and that's actually what the logo of Mau Mau House is based off. That's her face there with a little house on top. And I thought it was just like a cute logo, a fun picture, and basically a fun place where kids and their parents can go to just find cool stories, to have fun, to laugh, and find cute things to look at and read together, and yeah, kind of just to develop that space where you can be sure to find like stories that you'll enjoy, and that kind of like tries at least to give some nice lessons and some deeper learnings for your young ones.
Wonderful. We've had a great time speaking to the author of The Crocodile Choir. Our guest has been Nico Altamirano. Nico, thank you so much for being with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me again, Jed.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Reading with Your Kids and will join us for the next exciting episode of the show. We also hope you've enjoyed the show so much that you're inspired to write a 5-star review and leave it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcast. And if you're listening on the AM/FM 24/7 radio network, please let your local station manager know that you love Reading with Your Kids and thank them for carrying our show. Love for you to connect with us on social media, facebook.com/Reading with Your Kids, at Reading with Your Kids on Instagram, and at Jedley Magic on X. We have a great YouTube channel, youtube.com/Reading with Your Kids. You heard about our STEM is Family Fun videos earlier in this episode. You can find all of our STEM is Family Fun videos at our YouTube channel. You can also find our Drawing with Your Kids videos on our YouTube channel, and you can also find most episodes, or most episodes in the last couple years on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Reading with Your Kids. Our website, it's always fun to visit, readingwithyourkids.com. I mentioned that Jody Meltzer's book, Your Face Lights Up the World, is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. If you go to readingwithyourkids.com, click on the blog, you can read our entire review of Your Face Lights Up the World. You can also visit our Certified Great Read Wall of Fame and use the contact button up at the top of the page to let us know what you love about the show, let us know what we could be doing better. And most importantly for me anyways, you can let us know who you would like to hear on a future episode of the show. And if you're an author, you absolutely want to visit readingwithyourkids.com and click on the author's Click Here button up at the top of the page to find out how you can be a guest. Being a guest, it's fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands of Kidlit fans all about your great kids' books. You can also learn about our effective and affordable promotional services. You heard at the top of the show that Reading with Your Kids would be back at the 2024 Chicago Toy and Game Fair. This is the largest toy and game fair in North America. They expect 30,000 plus kids and families. Imagine 30,000 people getting a peek at your wonderful book. Well, that can happen. That can happen if you go to ShyTag and buy yourself a booth, which is very expensive. Or you can send an email to chris@readingwithyourkids.com and ask how you can be in our booth at the Chicago Toy and Game Fair. I want to thank the folks who made today's show so wonderful, starting with our guest, Jody Meltzer. Please be sure to check out Your Face Lights Up the World. It is a Reading with Your Kids certified great read. Nick Altamirano. Please be sure to check out The Crocodile Choir. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Chris Doherty, Rory Grady, Rayling Tang. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. And as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next episode of Reading with Your Kids.